This class is funny. So normally when we were in the studio, we just start in chairs, but it just doesn't seem like we need to do that with this group of people. So, so we'll take a seat on the floor. We'll roll the shoulders up and away from the ears. Keeping the chest lifted, we'll just drop the nose a little bit toward the floor. And really releasing with the exhale, anything that's in the mind, in the body. You can even envision like a wave of warm water rolling over the top of the head and all down the body, taking the thoughts out of the mind, taking the excess energies out of the body, those things you don't quite need. Just releasing that exhale, those long exhales. So you can envision this warm water waves rolling over the whole body from the top of the head all the way down the spine, on the back side of the body and the front side of the body. And as this wave of warm water pours down, just trying to relax the tension that may be in the body. Really starting to tune in to the places that really draw your attention, those places where that warm water wave kind of splashes rather than washing over. Other places in the body, I'm trying to call your attention. Feel a little tight, maybe a little dark. If you find any of those places in your being, that's where we draw in the inhale, starting to bring in energies to open those spaces, to make some expansion there. Through this exploring, we start to get a sense for what is it that we need out of the practice today. What are the elements that would really center us today? It might be different from what it was yesterday. It might be far away from a long-term goal. What is it that our being is needing for this practice? Start to lengthen out the breathing. Once again, just adding a bit to the inhale, a bit to the exhale. And on your next inhale, slowly open the eyes and come back into this space. All right, let's start with a side bend. We'll take that left hand down, right hand up and over. And we'll inhale up and over to the other side. Inhale, back up to center. Let's interlace the fingers, press the hands forward, up and over the head. So this weather that we're having is really quite odd. So it is very dense and heavy and slow. You may be feeling much more of an earth connection today because of that. But at the same time, it's dry. We have a dry fog. And you may notice that in your air channels, your lungs, the throat, the mouth, skin. If you're feeling a lot of that dryness in the body, it can be confusing. Like, why am I feeling so dry when it's kappa time? It's supposed to be wet. We don't have very wet winters around here. Let me go ahead and bring the hands down. Consider first the crisscross of the fingers, and then we'll press the hands up. Go back up over the head again. So this means that we should be taking care of the body, particularly the skin and the foods that we eat to nourish and replenish those fluids, things that are warm liquids or light oils. A really good time. If you have any ghee, use that in your cooking. Things like sesame oil, those almond oils in your skincare, things that are really going to nourish the body. All right, let's bring the hands down. Let's do a little for the wrist. Let's take your thumbs toward the floor, across the right hand over the left, interlace the fingers, and then draw the hands through, stopping when your wrist stays here. But that combined with that heaviness, dense feeling in the air, that's that kapha energy. So we want to try and build heat in the body, but build it slowly, not so that it's going to dry us out more, but so that it can make work off of that density to continue to grow. And so that means slowly moving into your warmer practice, moving gently, not rushing into the activities that you're doing during the day, but just make sure you have a slow and steady approach to your activities, your mental thoughts, things that you take on, rather than just jumping into it and burning hot. Try and just gradually increase the intensity. So I'm going to release the hands here. Let's try the other side. So we'll take the left hand over the right and release the fingers and come through. These kinds of days can be very productive, but they can also dry us out really, really fast. And so that's why if we structure our time slow and steady and just noticing, how am I doing now? And do I need to take a break? Or can I keep going? And just kind of get a feel for what is your level of productive energy throughout the whole day. And just, all right, let's go ahead and release that. Release there. Just take the hands back by the hips. Let's lift the center of the chest up toward the ceiling, shoulder blades together and down. And on inhale, come on back up. I'm going to keep the legs as they are. Let's come on forward, starting to walk the hands forward. I just want to find a place that you can feel the stretch, but not as not really strenuous here, really strong. And on inhale, come on back up from there, and we'll switch the legs. So whichever leg was in front or on top, reverse that. Remember, you're not coming to your major edge here. You're just coming to a place where you can feel where things are happening, but it's not your maximum stretch. So we're just getting started, just warming up the body. On inhale, we'll come on up. Release the legs and move into a hands and knees position. Once you're in your hands and knees, we'll do a little cat-cow. So bring tailbone up, chest up on your inhale. Exhaling, arching the back. Just moving back and forth through these, just really feeling in the spine. And just try to see if you can even over-exaggerate the end points. So if you can lift higher in your cat pose or in your cow pose, lift the head of the chest a little bit more. The next time that you're in cat pose, we're gonna hold cat pose, the center of the back up toward the ceiling, really lifting and arching. Keeping the arch in the back, you're gonna roll forward over your hands, so bringing your hips forward, still lifting the center of the back as much as you can, starting to take weight a little more onto toward the fingers. Still lifting that center of the back. We're going to roll now, bringing your hips back. We're going to bring that center of the lift over your knees. So the hips come almost towards your feet, not all the way back in a prayer pose, but so that you can feel long enough that you can feel the arms lengthen. You can still lifting in the center of the back. And then we're going to come back forward again over the hands, still lifting in cat pose. And maybe you come a little further, so you start to feel it on the wrist, you start to feel the hands engage, actively pushing down to the floor, but lifting in the back as much as you can. Then we'll bring the hips back again and bring that center of the lift back over the knee. So about halfway toward prayer pose. And then we'll come back to center and you can release the cat and come a little bit into cows. One more cow pose here, lifting the head and the tailbone. And then coming to a neutral spine. So just back to center here. Good. You're going to bring your hands forward a little bit here. So shoulder width apart. We're going to bring the hips forward in a half plank pose. So it's half plank. Knees are down. Hips are in line with the shoulders and the knees. Actively pushing into the floor with the hands. So active hands. Fingertips down. And we'll tuck the toes of the right foot and lift the right knee, 3/4 plank pose. So you're going to push back through your right heel. We'll bring the right knee down, coming back into your half plank pose. Yeah, if you need a break, you can just at any time take your hips back towards your heels into prayer. If you're okay here though, from the other side, you're gonna push into your left heel, lift your left knee off the floor, 3/4 plank pose. So you're starting to feel this in your wrists. Really push into your fingers. Try to keep a tone of the muscles around the wrists to support the wrist joints. We'll bring the left knee back down, back into your half plank pose. We're going to bend the elbows now and come all the way down to the floor. And you reach back through your feet. So down onto your belly. And have your hands by your shoulders, drawing your shoulder blades back and down, tailbone down. Let's lift up to cobra pose. Just lifting here, tailbone down. And if it feels okay on your neck, keep looking up. See if you can really open the throat. And then we'll release back down and abdominals in, push up to that half plank pose. Just half plank, knees are down. You're gonna swing your left foot out to the side. You're gonna roll out to a half side plank. So your knee is down, left knee is down, your foot is back for support. Your right heel comes down, hips stack and shoulders stack. So Jill's like in a half plank pose. Yeah, good, good. And if you want to take your other hand up, you can. So you shouldn't have to move your knee at all when you come into this. You should be able to keep it back. Good. Those of us who've been holding it, we're going to come on back into our half plank pose. Just going to roll around. So taking a note of when you're in half plank, where's the position of my knees? They don't change. They're going to stay where they are. You're going to swing your other foot out, coming to the other side. When you come to half side plank pose on this side, shoulders stack, the hips stack. And we're actively going to push into the hand that's on the floor. So toning the muscles of the arm that's down. So actively pushing down as much as you're reaching up with the hand that's up if it's up. And then we're going to roll on back into our half plank pose. And then we'll bring the hips back to the heels to rest in prayer pose. You can have your knees wide or together, your choice here. And then we'll walk the hands in closer. We're going to take the knees wide and tuck your toes underneath. Let's come up into our balancing squat. Everyone but Nancy. I don't want you to hurt your knees. For Nancy, if you want to start coming into a little bit of a camel, half camel, if that works for your knees, you could do that. For those of us in balancing squat, you're gonna walk your hands back by your feet. Try to bring your feet into a position where you really feel solid, and then you can start to lift up. Maybe bring your hands to the center of your heart. So just challenging, where's your balance here? Maybe how wide do your feet need to be? Balancing squat. And as you start to lift up, maybe even bringing your head in line with your hips. Trying to bring the elbows off the knees. Nancy, whenever you feel you need to come out, please do. We'll just be here for a second. It's really challenging. The muscles in the feet here in your balancing squat, trying to minimize that shuffling around, keeping the breath flowing. Awesome. We're going to work our way up to standing from here, any way that works. Standing into Tadasana, mountain pose. Let's do this. Let's just take the hands to the hips. We'll bend the knees. Let's circle here. With bent knees, let's do little hula hoopings. These are slightly bent. We're going to start off with small hula hoops, like the little tiny circles. And then we're going to go for the bigger circles. So how big? Imagining you had an enormous hula hoop and you're trying to get that thing to circle. So these are slightly bent, reducing some of the impact there. Remember, when you're hula hooping, you're not doing it with your head, right? Your head is mostly stable. It's really the hip action. The head moves a little bit, but it's not like, it's not, woo! It's not a whiplash version, right? We all should get hula hoops to kind of remember what it was like to do that. This was great exercise. I don't know why they were going out of vogue, but it's a really good thing to do for your back and your hips and your knees and all the joints. All right, we're going to pause that direction. We're going to big circle hula hoop in the other direction. Yeah, maybe a double hula hoop. You're one of those people in those resorts that do all those shows and they have like a bazillion different hoops going at once. Yeah, I was wondering how they do that. It's nice and smooth and steady. Really, as you're doing this, kind of feeling into your back, particularly your hip joints, your knees, whichever one's talking to you. Yeah, kind of some tightness here, or it's not as smooth of a circle, maybe. It's going to start to bring our big circle into a littler circle, smaller circle. Same direction. Remembering a lot of our yoga practice is just about exploring and listening. What is the body telling us? What is our being telling us? We tend to ignore it and focus on the external. So we have to actively put energy in the system to pay attention. What are these little cues? All right, we're going to come back to center, standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. I'm going to pick up the toes. And I'm going to rock a little forward and back on your feet. So just like rocking a little forward, you might lift the toe mounds when you come back and lift the heels a little when you come forward. The toes up here, you can really engage the feet muscles. So you may notice also as you do this that the muscles of the legs pull in just automatically, right? So in order to keep your toes lifted, and to keep this control and rocking forward and back, the muscles of the legs tone, which is telling us that, hey, this is actually what you need to be able to balance. All right, we're going to come about in center between forward and back. And I'd like you to feel the two arches of the feet, the big arch and the little arch, and try to lift those at the same time. So toes still up. And you may notice that you have a tendency to roll, like maybe one foot rolls flat on one side. So if we're lifting both arches, we're keeping a left-right rotation on the feet. We're going to try to keep that active tone in the feet, in the legs that you're feeling right now, but soften the toes down. A little difference here in your balance. Shoulders back and down, still maintaining that solid core, pulling into the abdominals. And take the arms up. Pause here, shoulder width apart. Did that change your balance? Did that change your legs? Good. And bring the palms toward each other, cross the thumbs, keeping all of that tone in the legs, down particularly the left side and tip to the right, crescent pose. Nice and controlled crescent pose. Extending on that whole side body toward the right, but still strong in the legs and the feet. And inhale, come back up through center. Now we're going to root into the right foot and extend here and tip to the other side. So still strong on both sides, but particularly the right side. Crescent pose. On the inhale, we'll come back up to center. We're going to separate the hands back to shoulder width apart. And now we're going to bend the knees, chair pose. Tailbone down toward the feet. So those abdominals naturally pull in and up. Back of the body starts to lengthen. Elbows straight. If you want more, little kid chair pose coming down a little bit lower. Keeping the breath flowing easily, smoothly in the body. And pushing in the feet, Coming up and release the hands. Good. All right, let's take that right foot forward, left foot back. Warrior one. Virjandrasana one. Squaring the hips toward what's in front and bending your front knee. Remember, tailbone comes straight down between the feet. If you need more space, walk that foot forward. When you're ready, arms up, warrior one. Kind of feeling the balance between that muscular energy and the organic energy. So muscle energy is that tone, that support, helps with the wobble, but then that organic expression might start to lift your chest up toward the ceiling. You might feel some energy out the arms, out the fingers. Needing that expression in the posture. From here, we'll bring the palms together and draw the hands down in the center of the heart and leg. Stay nice and strong. We're going to lean forward. So you can root into that back leg in particular, length in the spine, and then twist around that length of the spine for revolve side angle pose. Starting to open the chest toward the right. You might be low enough to hook that elbow to the outside of the knee. Just keep the hips low and your back leg as straight as you can. So remember, long spine, breath still flowing, and trying to find the relaxation. Working hard here, but how can you soften? And with control, strong in the legs, we're going to unwind back into warrior one. Here, we're going to take the arms out to the side, straight up the side, still in warrior one in the legs. Strong tone here, yeah, you might have one foot going to sleep, that's okay. I'm going to make little circles here, like you had tiny little hula hoops on your hands. Now, if this is too strong for your shoulders, bring your hands to your shoulders and work at your elbows. Otherwise, we're going to try just small circles with the hands, not too fast. So you can feel into the shoulders. You might start to make the circles a little bigger. Keep that breath flowing. It's weird. Anytime you work the shoulders, you start feeling that heat build in your body. It's funny how that happens. For whatever reason, shoulders seem to be connected to the central core of heat. I start getting a little warm. And then we'll release the hands down to the hips. You're going to step your back foot forward and your front foot back. I'm going to switch sides, warrior one now, other side. Yeah, so we're doing a couple of different things here. First of all, let's just get into the posture. So finding tailbone down, strong in the legs. Virjandrasana one on this side. Arms up whenever you're ready. So doing a couple of things here. You may be feeling the heat starting to build in the body. That's part of that slow build of that heat. Trying to not rush into it. We're also trying to strengthen and tone the muscles around the joints. Kapha, earth time, is a time of joint pain. And the way that we can do that, one really effective practice is this holding. This thing that you're feeling in the legs where we're holding, maintaining We're toning the muscles around all the joints, the knees, the hips, the ankles, even the feet. Just trying to keep the breath and the awareness there. All right, I think this was next. We're gonna bring the hands together at the heart, coming into our revolved side angle pose. We're gonna root into your back foot, lean forward, and then turn toward the left this time. If you're hooking that elbow, try to keep your hips low, make sure they don't come up. Strong tone in the legs, but also keeping the breath flowing. There's also a lot of length in this posture. So tailbone, the top of the head, nice and long, and also rooting back into that right foot. From here, we're going to unwind with control back into warrior one. Just noticing if you're getting some fatigue in the muscles, can you balance that by kind of working the muscles around that area? Finding a way of distributing. It's okay to have little micro movements in the posture. I'm going to bring the hands back out to the side. And if you remember which direction you went last time, try to go the other way. Small circles here. Again, if it's too strong to have your arms fully extended, just bring the hands to the shoulders and you'll work half length at the elbow. So breathing into the nose, out the nose. Calm and centered. So you might make a little bit bigger circles. Good. We're going to release the hands now to the hips. Step your back foot forward to meet your front foot. And we're going to work our way down onto the floor for a seated wide leg forward bend. So you can use a blanket if you want. And so if you are using a blanket, you're kind of sitting on the edge so that the pelvic bone can tip forward. Toes up on both feet, double inner spiral on the thighs. When you're ready, we'll keep those shoulders back and hinge the hips to come forward. Remember, it's not about leading with the chin. It's the center of the chest. The hands can come forward if your shoulders can stay away from the ears. We're still trying to bring the breath into the places of the body where you most need it. So places that might feel a little tight, places that are talking to you right now. Taking breath, awareness, and expansion in those places. So that's that harnessing the Vata energy for good, for benefit of the body. On your inhale, we'll come on up from there. You're going to bend your right knee and bring the foot in close to the leg. So that knee just goes out to the side. Keeping your toes up on your left leg, we're going to bring that hand down and extend over the left side. So you're starting to drop your shoulder, elbow, everything over that leg, and maybe even coming a little to the inside if you can come lower. Your right hand on the right hip, draw the shoulder back. So you're starting to open the chest toward the ceiling and the back of the body over your left leg. And if you want, if your shoulder can stay back, your hand is free. It could come up and over your head, or it might just stay on your hip. And on the inhale, come on up from here. We'll switch sides, so we'll extend your right leg out in the wide position. The left leg comes in. Is this okay for your knees, Nancy? Mostly okay? All right. Yeah, so the rotation should be at the hip more than the knee, so hopefully not causing too much there. Yeah, and Jill, good option to do that if you need to with the block. We're going to come on down over the right side, so starting to drop over that right leg, maybe coming down to the inside edge. Really trying to get that whole side of the body and even the back of the body over that leg. So you can bring your left hand onto the hip and draw the shoulder back, and that's more moving the back of the body over the top of the right leg. And then when you found your place here, you might release the hand if you want, up and over the head. Just make sure when you do that, it doesn't cause the chest to roll toward the floor. And on an inhale, we'll come on back up. And you can draw that right leg in. We're going to come into a Baddha Konasana and give you an option to use a block. So if you want a little bit of elevation for your feet, you can use a block here to bring your feet together on the block. And again, you just let those knees drop down, just an option. If you prefer to have your feet on the floor, then absolutely you can do that. This version gets to a different place in the hips, and it might be too strong. You might find that you need to move the block and feet forward away from you in order to get to a better position. But you don't want to have your ankles be pinching here, so make sure it's in a comfy place. And then coming forward any amount. And so starting to lead with the chest, coming forward, good. So it might be just a different place in the hips than what you would normally have. And so again, we're checking in with the parts of the body that you feel the strongest sensation happening. Like what's going on there? Is it a bundle of tight, or is it something that can soften? Using the power of the mind, we can start to open these places. So the same way that you're exploring the nature of the sensations that you're feeling can also be observant to the nature of your thoughts. Things that might jump into the mind about what you're doing or whatever it may be. So what is the nature of those? Can you keep a distance, an observing distance, and not engage in the story, but just be aware of the thoughts so coming in the mind? And I want to inhale, come on up from there. Release the feet. Move your block. Let's come into a twist. So we're gonna come off of your blanket and walk the feet a bit forward. And the hands back behind you so you can comfortably lean back. And take the feet a little bit wider than that width. Just a little bit wider here. And then drop both knees over to the left. And if you have some space between your knee and your foot like I do, scoot the foot back. And so knee and foot come together. Then you're going to pick up your right hand and follow the direction of your knees, walking all the way around behind and starting to turn your chest toward the floor. And then you might even bend your elbows and bring the nose down toward the floor. Finding where is your edge on this pose. Now on an inhale, we'll unwind the twist. Coming back up to that starting position. And then working our way to the other side, we're dropping the knees down, bringing your foot and knee together. Follow the direction of the knees and start to walk the hands behind. And then bending the elbows and starting to drop the upper body down. Hands on and inhale. Come on back to center. We're going to come around onto the back, down on the floor. Starting with knees bent, feet on the floor. Bring the hands to the belly. Just observing how you're breathing. I'm going to try to bring the breath into the belly. So try to make the hands rise and fall, breathing into the belly. You're going to keep breathing into the belly, but release the hands down by your sides. And draw the soles of the feet together in a Baddha Konasana and up close by your hips. Let the knees just kind of open as they will. Recline to Baddha Konasana. Still breathing all the way down into the belly. Now, if you're coming into a back bend, that tailbone lengthens down toward the feet. So trying to ease that. If you have room over your head, take your arms over your head. Still breathing into the belly. We'll bring the hands together over your head and bend your elbows. Leave a diamond shape over your head. So arms are still down on the floor. You made a diamond over the top of the head. Release the hands now and draw your knees together. We're going to pick the feet up off the floor, bringing your hands around your knees or shins. So having a hold of your bent knees or shins, both feet together, both knees together. Take a nice deep inhale into the belly. On your exhale, we're going to draw the abdominals toward the floor. Lift the head and the chest and squeeze. Starting to bring your nose towards your knees. Hold that exhale out. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Super tight squeeze. And then release. You're going to lower the head, shoulders back down to the floor. You can release your feet back down to the floor. Extend the legs long and work your way into Shavasana. Really allowing the body to rest in your Shavasana. Allow the breath to deepen. Some movement to return to the body. As you're ready, make your way up to a seated position. Hands together at the heart. Thank you all for joining and for sharing your morning yoga practice. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be healthy, be safe. I will see you in class again. Namaste.